you want to be able to ride and enjoy your electric bike, whether you're taking a leisurely afternoon cruise in the park, or challenging the automobile traffic on your morning commute? To do that, all of your electric bike systems must be working well. One key component is your electric bike's battery. Do you want to keep it in good shape? So, here are some of the electric bike charging tips meant to help your e-bike battery live a long life. Charge a new electric bike battery for 12 hours. When you first get a new electric bike, take the time to charge its battery completely for up to 12 hours. This long initial charge ensures current is flowing through all the cells and helps to condition the battery right out of the box. Charge your e-bike battery regularly. The batteries used on most electric bikes should last longer with regular use and therefore regular charging. For the most part, you don't need to let your electric bike battery discharge completely. Rather, try to charge the battery when there is between 30% and 60% of the capacity remaining. Some battery experts do, however, suggest an occasional full discharge, perhaps once every 30 to 40 charges. But otherwise use the 30 to 60% guideline. In order to charge your electric bike battery regularly, you need to use it regularly, so let this be another encouragement to get out and ride. Avoid extreme temperature. An electric bike battery feels the same way about the weather as most electric bike riders do. Moderate temperatures are better. To prolong an electric bike battery, avoid temperature extremes both in usage and when you are charging the battery. Like you, the electric battery likes moderate temperatures, especially during charging. During a charging cycle, the battery should be in an environment that is warmer than freezing and not hotter than 110 degrees Fahrenheit at the extremes. But why go to extremes? It would be better still if the temperature was between about 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit during charging. Don't overcharge an electric bike battery. Don't just leave your electric bike battery on the charger for long periods of time, think several days or more. When you do, you can create a situation wherein the battery will discharge, leaving it at perhaps 95% of capacity. The charger then goes to work topping off the battery. This cycle of minor discharges and topping off continues, creating a series of poor charging cycles. Instead, use a mechanical charger timer like this. Setting the charging time depends on the battery remaining capacity or percentage guidelines. This mechanical timer will automatically cut off the flow of current and stop the charging on a specific set of time to prevent battery overcharging, or use a timer on your mobile device to remind you to take the battery off of the charger. Don't store an empty battery. Sometimes you may need to store your electric bike battery. Perhaps you're about to take a trip. Maybe it is too cold or too hot outside to ride. Regardless, don't store the battery empty, rather look for it to have about 40 to 70% of its full capacity. Ways to improve battery life. While the act of charging your electric bike's battery is relatively simple, there are some do's and don'ts to consider in order to improve the overall life of the battery. Major things to keep in mind when charging your battery include: after the initial charging for a brand new battery, don't charge the battery for longer than 12 hours. Wait and let the battery rest for 30 minutes to 1 hour before charging the battery after the ride, and also after the battery is in full charge before the next ride. Do not let the battery get too cold or too hot. Store your battery on a flat and hard surface. Make sure the battery is clean from dirt or water. Charge the battery on a regular basis. It is generally not recommended to let your electric bike battery be completely drained before each charging. Most electric bikes are equipped with lithium chemistry batteries that have the best performance with regular use. Keep in mind that when you regularly ride your e-bike, that means that your battery will also regularly need to be charged. It is okay to allow the battery to completely drain every once in a while to allow for a full system charge, but the battery will last longer if you don't allow it to fully drain every time. Keeping the battery at a slight charge before charging allows some of their cells to retain a longer life cycle. Depending on the distance that you ride your electric bike, it may be good to simply get into the habit of charging your e-bike battery after each ride. This is important both when you are charging the e-bike's battery and when you are riding or storing your e-bike, allowing a prolonged life of the battery both in the short and the long term. Avoid overcharging. The initial right out of the box battery charging will be much longer than your usual charge time. All other charge times will be much shorter, and the battery should be kept off of the charger once it has reached a full charge. Avoiding an overcharge will become easier as you learn how long the battery usually takes to charge, but as long as you don't leave the battery sitting on the charger for a day or more, it should be okay. Most electric bike batteries will take somewhere between 6 to 8 hours to fully charge or longer depending on the battery capacity. The primary reason overcharging can be an issue is due to the fact that when left on the charger beyond full capacity, the battery can begin to drop its charging capacity in order to continue the recharge. This can create a cycle of small battery discharges of up to 5% that would require the charger to recharge the battery over and over again. In the long run, this will be detrimental to the battery life as the battery will never again be able to reach a completely full charge. It will likely begin to end its charging cycle around 95%. This shortens the life of the battery as well as shortening the efficiency while riding your e-bike. The optimal range to store a battery for any period of time is between 30 to 70%. If you choose to store an empty battery, it will become increasingly more difficult for the battery to not only charge, but it will no longer hold a charge for as long as it used to. Weight you're transporting. The overall range of your e-bike battery will be impacted by the amount of weight the e-bike is moving. This will include the weight of the e-bike, your weight, and the weight of anything else you're carrying. The more weight that the battery has to move forward, the harder it is working. This means that the heavier the transporting conditions are, the faster your battery will be drained. Overall riding conditions impact battery energy levels. As mentioned earlier, certain temperature conditions can impact battery life. Generally, the battery will last longer in warmer conditions versus colder conditions. The terrain has a huge impact on the range of your electric e-bike battery. If you are constantly starting and stopping or riding up hills or even riding on a softer surface, your battery will be working harder. Other influential parts of your riding style that you should take notice of include your speed. If you are always running your e-bike at top speed, the battery will die at a much faster rate. On how many starts and stops you make. When you lose momentum, the e-bike has to work much harder to get up to speed again, which can drain the battery faster, especially on uphill starts. Noticing the route you take day to day, or how much you rely on the e-bike battery to move you forward, can help you determine how long the battery will last. Other factors that are not mentioned and described in details that can have minor impacts on battery range include your tire pressure and battery age. As you ride your e-bike more often, you will become more aware of its range, as well as how often it needs to be charged. Other battery care instructions. Caring for your electric bike battery goes beyond how to charge it. Knowing how to store it, general charger care and things not to do impact the longevity of your battery as well. Much of the care instructions are versatile and will apply to almost all electric bikes. However, it is important to note that not all electric bike manufacturers will make batteries or e-bikes the same way. Always be sure to read instructions specific to your e-bike make and model. If batteries are dead and left for extended periods of time, they may no longer hold their charge, and therefore will no longer be functional. A good rule of thumb if you are storing your battery for an extended period of time is to charge the battery at least once a month. So, if you aren't using your e-bike, check up on the batteries, charge and plug it in from time to time. This will help prevent the battery from prematurely deteriorating. Charger care. Although the battery has been the main focus, the charger is a vital aspect of a healthy battery. There are a few things to keep in mind when using and/or storing your charger to keep it working for at least the lifespan of your battery. Before you switch on the main power when you're charging your e-bike battery, make sure that the charger is plugged into the battery itself. Do not plug the charger into the main power and then connect the battery. This can cause shorts in the system. Similarly, be sure that the main power source is turned off before you unplug the charger and battery from one another. Although you may use the charger on a daily basis, it is important not to leave it plugged in at all times. This means not to leave it permanently connected to the battery or to the main power source. Things not to do with an e-bike battery. Keeping your e-bike battery in tip-top shape is easy to do if you know all of the proper care and charging instructions, but sometimes it helps to know distinctly what not to do when caring for your bike battery.